Okay, just a fair warning. This is not Sakamoto days. I know a lot of you guys were gonna go into Kill Blue thinking like, oh, this is gonna be like a substitute for Sakamoto days, and it's not really. It's a lot more interesting than I thought it was gonna be. And I know you guys are getting sick of the gimmick of
It's a lot more interesting than I thought it would be.
so let me give you guys an explanation as to why this is interesting. So initially, I thought we were gonna be following a kid who was the most skilled assassin in the world. You know, the typical like isekai setting. Thought we were gonna be following one of those, and you know, he gets tired of killing and being an assassin and living the loner life and decided to like actually get up and go to school. I honestly thought that that was going to be the premise of this manga, but it's not. And coming from the creator of Kuroko's Basketball, or you know, Kuroko no Basket, it's definitely a solid change of pace, right? So what it is we're following Juzo Ugami, who is, like I said, one of the most skilled assassins in the world. That's all he knows. That's his job. That's his life. He eats it. He lives it. He breathes it. He shits it. You know what I mean? That's all he does.
And
He ended up getting a mission where he had to go bust up this gang, and for some odd reason, they were transferring hives, right? Like they were transferring beehives. As I'm coasting through this chapter, which, you know, that means a lot to me because that means it's a genuinely easy read, the whole time I'm like, where's the kid? Where's the kid that we're gonna be following? This is supposed to be that, right? Terrible mindset to have going into this manga.
I know, right?
But based off of what was presented, it was what I thought we were being presented. You know what I mean? I'm continuing through, learning more and more about his job, learning more and more about how skilled he is. And then we come to find out like his family left him, right? He got divorced because all he knew was his job. He was like, man, if only I was a little bit more personable. I'm paraphrasing here. If I was a little bit more
Personable.
maybe my family wouldn't have left me. Maybe my wife wouldn't have divorced me and took the child, right? Took my baby girl away from me. But what else was I supposed to do? And it's crazy that he gets this idea after seeing, you know, a father and his son walking around and then running into that kid going up to his apartment. When he ran into that kid, I will say this though. I thought that that kid was the main kid, right? I'm like, oh, maybe he's pretending to be like a normal child and he's gonna assassinate the greatest assassin of all time. And then we're gonna get into the school life stuff. No, it wasn't that at all. So boom, right?
So boo!
His homie knocks on the door, was like, oh man, I forgot to give you this. And then he gets shanked, bro. Well, he don't really get shanked, right? He gets stung by a bee, passes out, wakes up in his ex-wife's lab. Apparently, she was already a part of the organization. So I just assume that they met through the organization. He looks in the mirror after having a wild conversation with his wife talking about, yeah, apparently the gang that you busted up was looking into genetic manipulation. And you've changed quite a bit. And he's like, yo, what do you mean? And then he sees himself and he's like, oh, shit. I'm like 12. He then gets a call from his boss, and his boss is like, hey man, I got a job for you. It's gonna help you keep the bills paid, and it's gonna help with, you know, all the other stuff you got going on, because Ugami was over here ranting and raving about, what am I supposed to do? How am I supposed to pay for child support? How am I supposed to pay spousal support? Blah, 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 type stuff, right? And his shorty was like, yeah, you know, I got a job, so it's okay. Fast forward, his boss ends up telling him, look, man, just go to school. Keep an eye on my daughter. That's all you gotta do. You're gonna get paid for it. So he goes to school and he already fucks up the whole introductory phase. Now people think he's a weirdo, but the real weirdo comes a little later. As he's perusing through the school, he gets made fun of by these two girls previously, right? He's perusing through the school, walking through, and then all of a sudden some actual weirdo decides to come onto the school premise, beats up a security guard, and is just flashing kids. It's like, bro, what is going on here? But before we get to that, I want to touch on something that I believe the actual like premise of this manga is, and or I should just say the moral, and it's reformation, right? Reforming oneself. Juzo regrets not being able to hold on to his family because all he ever knew was work, right? He didn't make it through middle school. He didn't even make it through elementary. He just became an outright assassin. He's been training as an assassin since a child. So now that he's been presented with an opportunity to reform himself, he's actually falling in love with the process that is school, right? He's learning, he's creating bonds with other people. And I think that is the genuine like moral of this story, is being able to reform. Because now, fast forwarding to what I was talking about, he's perusing his way out through the halls and that weirdo pops up and starts flashing kids. And as he's encroaching upon the two girls who made fun of him in class, saying, you know, he's a true edgelord, he's like, oh man, what do I do? How am I gonna do this? And his homie is like, yo, you don't have to do this, right? You don't have to do this. It's not your job. And he goes on this soliloquy rant and was like, you know, I get tired of that. It's not your job. It's not your thing. And then he just does some off the wall assassin type tech, right? Throws chalk. It looks sick though, right? It looks sick. Creates a diversion by like throwing this chalk, right? Making a smoke screen, pulling up and attempting to murk this wild flasher. And then he realizes that he's a kid and he doesn't have the strength that he used to have, you know, the genetic manipulation thing. So as he does that, the dude tries to blow himself up, but he kicks him in the sack, right? Which was a genius child move, as one would say. That's what kids do. So he was like, you know what? I'm gonna take this diversionary kid tactic. I'm gonna kick him in the nuts. He throws up the dynamite and he shoots that thing, blows it up, causes even more of a scene. The little girls thought that it was Juzo, but he was like,
Nah, man, it wasn't me. I was just a normal kid.
So we end up in the school the next day. Everybody's talking about what happened. And then the invite to the class group chat gets passed around. And they was like, you know what? We don't want to make you feel like you're left out. And just in case it was you yesterday, let's invite you. And he more than likely regrets it because he's never dealt with people before like this. And his phone is constantly going to be blinging off the charts. We end the chapter with him on the balcony and he actually rejoicing over the fact that this can be different. Maybe I'll get to enjoy life now. Maybe I'll get to change. Really, really cool premise and start. Like I said, it's not Sakamoto Days. It's its own thing. And I'm glad that it's got such a weird premise, right? It's interesting. I didn't expect it to be like this, but it's like this. And you know, it's really enjoyable. So now we're gonna be seeing whether or not he reforms. And if he does reform, what's gonna be the process? Is he gonna get his wife back? Is he gonna get his daughter back? Are they gonna be back on good terms? Are they gonna find a way to reverse this genetic manipulation so he could go back to being who he was? But on the off chance they don't, this means he's going to get to relive his life, his actual life, right? He's gonna get to relive everything, learn more, become a better human being, and not have to be an assassin for the rest of his life. So I'm genuinely interested to see what's going on here. Make sure in the comment section y'all let me know what's going on with this. Leave a like if you enjoyed, subscribe if you're new. If this is something that you guys want me to continue to cover, make sure y'all let me know in the comment section as well, because I'm gonna be honest, I'm completely down with covering this. I'm just talking and saying things that don't even really matter at this point just to fill time, but you guys get what I'm talking about. Anyways, man, I'm gonna get to editing this video. As always, it's your boy DomoSenpai, and I will catch you guys in the next video.